playing piano, and we'll have nice food. It'll go all day on Saturday the 9th, and we want you all to come by and drop off a donation for the St. Philip's Baby Pantry, for the Benzie Area Food Network. It can be a check, it can be a can of food, it can be some diapers, whatever it is. We want you to come in, have some seasonal cheer with us, some holiday cheer, and have a good time with us. This is a wonderful event. It'll be, I think, the 4th year we've done it, and it works really well. We raise a couple $1,000 for each of those charities, and we actually literally get a couple truckloads, pickup truck loads of food or of baby items, and take it over to them. It's a great event. It's a lot of fun. And so December 9th, put it on your calendar. We'll be looking for volunteers to help make it happen, but mostly we're looking for y'all to show up and kick in to help out kids and people, struggling families in Benzie, okay? Yes, it will be here all day on headquarters, 10 to 4, 10 to 4, okay? That's Democrat. That's good.
Personal care items.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Soaps and toilet
Yeah.
paper, towels, some of that stuff they can't use their coupons.
Yeah, that's great. We will elaborate on all of that. We will do that. And remind me of that. That's stuff I didn't know, Kim, so thank you. Okay, so that's our Comfort and Joy project. There are bylaws, our new bylaws, sitting up on the desk there, and they will be posted online at our website in the next few hours. This is something a committee worked on to redo the bylaws. We do this periodically, and so we've got a new set of bylaws. Grab it and take it home and look at it. We're going to have an up or down vote on it at the November meeting. We'll put stuff out about this on email, but if you want a sneak preview of the bylaws right now, they're right over at the desk. I hope you can handle the excitement. Okay, anything else we need for announcements here? Okay. Any questions on any of that from anyone? To wait for the microphone, and you can ask the question, Colin. Good to see you here, my friend.
I didn't respond to the phone, but I got an email that I responded to, and I didn't get an answer.
Great.
So maybe I can pose the question here and now, which was, I was told by my election chairperson in Platte Township that in the primary election in February, I think it is, we will be working 10 full days, starting on the Sunday before, the one before the actual Tuesday. So we will have to have election personnel present at the polls for 10 full days. I was just wondering, who planned for that legislation that made that necessary? That's my question. Was it a Democratic or a Republican option to have that? Is my question.
I think that was something the Democrats have passed since they moved into Lansing, and that's where that's coming from. I know that the details on that are still being worked out. Many clerks in rural areas really have questions about all that. Yeah. So we'll be working out on that. That isn't something we can jump into here, but thank you for bringing that up. Right. Any other questions? Aubrey?
Not really my sorry, okay. Jim Thompson texted me this morning, so I'm just going to read his question, if that's okay, because he can't make the meeting. He said, oh, I'm off the camera.
Yeah, come on.
Sorry.
Got your makeup
okay.
all set for this? This is great. Come on.
So Jim Thompson texted me and asked, why don't the Dems organize a huge DC rally or national marches for democracy? This should be a #1, in all caps, priority for every single American at this time.
Well,
He texted me, so I'm letting you guys know.
okay, well, thank you. I think I got that this morning too. Well, I'll just say, we're not a national organization, but if somebody wanted to get that started, we would certainly support it. But that is not going to emanate out of Benzie County. I don't see us doing that. But if somebody else does it, in a big city, gets it organized, we'll be there, okay? We will be there. We will support it. Remember what a thrill the Women's March on Washington was after the fateful inauguration back in 16, 17? Yeah, it's awful. Yeah, okay. Okay, no more questions. I think what we'll do now is hear from our wonderful county commissioner. Please, a warm round of applause, please, and welcome for Karen Cunningham, 3rd District.
Thank you and good morning. I could smell the coffee even before I went through the door here. It's fabulous, ladies, so in the back. 2 short things, but important. On the 30th of October, there's going to be, Senator Bumstead will be visiting in room 206 in the county building, and it's just open for questions. So that's pretty important. If you have questions for him, informal, please come to that at 10 o'clock in the county building on the 30th. The second thing at 5:30 p.m., 17:30 for the others in the room, is going to be the town hall meeting for the Headley Amendment. Yes. We are finally going to open up and have discussion, and that's what it is. The decisions haven't been made on this, but it's open at 5:30 on the 30th, and that will be in the room where the Board of Commissioners meet. And I was told yesterday it's going to be kind of in a round table, so not really directed by anyone, but asking for your input about the Headley Amendment. It's really important for us. So decisions aren't made. Yeah, taxation, yeah, you can look it up. We will also have a small booklet that basically has bullet points in it. I should be getting that at the Tuesday Board of Commissioner meeting at 9 a.m. And of course, you're invited to come to that. Also, I know I do see people in the audience there, and I'm grateful for that. But we should have that booklet about the Headley Amendment, and I'll make sure that the Dems have a few copies here. Okay?
Yeah. Could you give us just a little bit of background on what the Headley Amendment? Could you give us just a little bit of a background on what the Headley Amendment is, without getting into the weeds, just what it was, what it did for Michigan, and why we need to change it?
Right.
Yeah.
The Headley Amendment has been with us for quite a while. Since the 70s. Okay, I didn't know the exact date on that. But it adjusted, I guess that's the right word to say, how we are taxed, how taxes are used. And it's according to millages, from what I understand. And we are one of 3 counties out of the 83 counties in Michigan that haven't kept up with the cost of services. So the Headley Amendment, and it was a law that was passed here in the state, and it worked fine. Most counties made an adjustment, so as costs went up, this is my understanding, I'm kind of in the weeds with it too, made adjustments to keep up, so you would keep the services you had, or whatever it is that the citizenry was asking us to have. So it's about taxation and the money we need for services and maintenance of the county. We haven't kept up with it. With a mic.
I guess what I'm trying to find out, would this be built into our taxes as opposed to millages that keep coming up? Is that
No.
what it is?
Ye-
I could answer that.
No.
What this really is, yes, it is about our millages. It is about our millage rate. The Headley Amendment limited how much a millage rate could go up any year, and it was tied to inflation.
Correct.
And the way it worked is that when there was an inflation, it could go up. When there was deflation, it would have to go back down.
It would
And
get the lesser of it.
And then getting it back up gets difficult for all these reasons. So we're trying to lift the cap on the Headley Amendment so that we can then ask for more millage. This would not raise millages. It would allow the county to ask to raise millages, because right now we're very limited, and it's choking all of our services.
Can I say something?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. I was a realtor for 20 years, so I have a little bit of understanding of this. It really meant to deal with your property tax increases.
Correct.
And with your state equalized values. And it limited how much those could go up per year, according to inflation, and no more, I believe it was 3%. So and what's really gonna happen, I mean, if you uncap that, people who have a lower tax rate now are gonna see their taxes jump way up. So I'm not sure that's something we wanna do. I understand from the point of view of cities, townships, whatever, they got caught in a bind when values went down in 2008. There were no increases, their costs kept going up anyway, and now they're limited to going up a small amount every year, but they're not keeping up with their costs. But what it will result in for everybody who pays the taxes is more taxes.
Well, as you can tell, this is a complicated issue, and so you all should show up. When is this?
30th
The 30th of October,
at 5:30 PM,
Five-
County Building.
5:30 PM, County Building, the 30th of October, if you want to talk about this.
And it is discussion.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what it's not the commissioners saying, it's looking for different points of view from you. So tacit consent, folks, or come and voice.
So I want to just add to that real quick. So there's two things you'll see on your property tax: state equalized value and taxable value. You'll see the taxable value is quite a bit lower than the state equalized usually. That's because it's limited. If it wasn't limited, you would be paying taxes on the higher value. So that's something to think about.
Okay. There's a link in the chat about how the whole thing works. You can look at that and look at it that way. Do you have anything else you need to report on?
Nope, that's it. I keep them nice and short today.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Karen.
Can you tell us, will this meeting,
Should I give you
Yeah.
this?
can you tell us, will this meeting be Zoomed? For those that can't make it to the government center, will we
Can't
be?
hear you, Steve. You need to unmute.
Oh. I am unmuted. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Well, according to here, I'm
We're
unmuted.
going to have to move along here and see if we can get back
Maybe
to
you
it.
can put it in the chat.
Figure out what's going on, Bill. Yeah. All right. Karen? Kira?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hello.
Kira Duvernay, our
You want to
co-chair here.
nice camera, then the.
Hi, everybody. So I'm here to give you an update on what we call our Beulah kerfuffle. Oh, that it were a recipe for something sweet. But I'll just give you a quick recap for those who weren't here in the last meetings where we've been talking about this. Back in August 5th, there was a Beulah street sale. The Benzie Dems wanted to do a pop-up there, which is essentially just a tabling event, giving out information and having conversations with people. We were there for an hour and a half when the village president came and said, either get rid of all your democratic literature and make this just a voter registration, nonpartisan situation, or go away. And so our pop-up people decided that they would just go away. And then following that, we knew we had to follow up on that because our constitutional right to free speech is to be able to be there on the sidewalk or in the local park and have a small event like that. So several of us went to the village meetings and engaged our wonderful lawyers from the party here who have put in lots of service on this situation. And we asked that we have some sort of understanding with the village so that we could exercise our right to free speech and the village would be okay with that. So ultimately, the village brought in their village lawyer who created this event proposal that the village council is considering. And originally, that event proposal was onerous, we thought. It asked for a 30 to 60-day application ahead of time for any little event like that. It asked for a $50 fee for an event like that, and it asked for us to carry insurance. Excuse me, all of which we thought was onerous, and our wonderful lawyers talked with the village lawyer and made comment, and ultimately they renegotiated the proposal. Now, nothing has been voted on yet. It's ongoing because it isn't, because there are many concerns about this situation. But my concern is that we all need to know that we do have a First Amendment right to free speech in the public forum, and that we need to continue to exercise those rights or they'll go away. So I have copied some ACLU Know Your Rights guide for free speech in public places. And if anybody wants to pick one up, they're over on the, where you sign in. So that's the situation. We're pretty sure, however, that we will prevail, and at best we will have to have a 2-week application, 2 weeks ahead of time, no fee and no insurance. So we think we're going to come out on the right side of this, but we also do need to know that it's everybody's right to use the public forum and for free speech. So there you go.
Oh, Mike.
Thank you, Kira. It's Marcia talking.
Hi, Marcia.
Hi, thank you so much. That's wonderful work. Keep it up. Thank
Yeah,
you
well,
for doing it.
thank you to at least 2 of the lawyers that we have here today, Betsy Taylor and Brad Raymond, for really doing the hard work, and Jim Olson, who I just see going by. Okay.
I just wondered if there's a village meeting coming up. that
Yes,
we
so
should-
thank you. So the next village meeting is on the second Monday in, thank you, second Tuesday in November, Beulah. And I'll be there, and people are also submitting letters to the council about concerns they might have regarding this. So anybody can do that. Hold, we're waiting for the microphone.
I would like to point out too that back when the National Lakeshore was renegotiating their 30-year plan, quite some years ago, 20 years ago, was it? In the National Lakeshore, they have what they call free speech zones.
Right, and that actually, that information is on this ACLU Know Your Rights that's over on the sign-in area, and anybody on Zoom can look this up really easily on Google, and that information is on there. Thank you. Okay,
Thank you.
I'm going to turn, oh, one more question.
Just a comment. It's November 14th at 7 o'clock.
Thank you, Deanne. And Deanne is on the council in the village of Beulah and has been fabulous working with this situation. Yay, Deanne.
Really? Thank you. Really, yeah.
Okay, I think we have that.
Okay. And while we're yaying Deanne, I just want to thank Deanne right now for all of her editing work for all of our lookout reports. She's the one who takes the lookout reports from our lookout reporters and edits them and sends them out to the townships. So a round of applause for Deanne. She's really doing a great job. Okay, it looks like we have our link with Zoom working here in the room again. Is there anybody else who has some questions about what Kira just said? Okay.
Well, Steve wanted to know if the government center meeting was going to be Zoomed, and I'll ask Kieran whether is that meeting going to be Zoomed?
Yes, the Headley conversation will be Zoomed. Okay, so keep your eye on the website there for more information. Okay, as Jane Wild, you seen Jane Wild come in?
No, but please.
I'm here on Zoom.
Oh, great, good. Yeah, that's what I was hoping. Great. So Jane, would you please tell us once again about our letters to the editor success? You did this recently, but it just keeps going. So tell us what's going on.
Well, hopefully lots of you read the Record Patriot. You will see that the Dems have been dominating the letter section. We have a fantastic team of writers, and we've got a fantastic facilitator organizer in Rick Rhodes who sets everybody up, schedules, reminds everyone who and what's next. Each week I send out a message with a whole bunch of resources to back it up. And then the writer of the week that's on schedule for that week writes the letter. It's going really well. People are awesome. And we can always use more writers if anybody's interested.
Great, Jane. And I just want to, Jane, I want to thank you for keeping us so sharp on policy.
Wait, what?
You really, excuse me.
There's a meeting going on down in Honor that I'm listening in on. It's called Zoom. This is the way people do business since COVID.
I did Zoom.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, would you please mute whoever's doing that? Thank you. Where was I? Oh, okay. We're all set to go here now. Great.
Great. Okay, so our first speaker today is Maggie Bacon, who is coming to us from BEST, Benzie County. BEST stands for Building Educational Success and Training, and she's here to tell us about the effort to make Benzie County in district with NMC, thereby paying in district tuition. And so here she is.
So I'm always nervous about talking into a microphone because I have a really loud voice anyway. I come from a family of 5, and I was the youngest, and there were 3 boys, and so I had to be pretty boisterous as a little girl. So I always start with a story.
Did that relate to you?
Yeah.
Oh.
No, not really.
With the 5 brothers?
Mary Hoyt, could you please mute?
Sorry about that.
Perfectly okay. So I always start with a story. So, and I try not to tell the same story every time, except that there will be 2 of you that have probably already heard this story. So it's a story of a young man who really wasn't sure what it was he wanted to do after he got out of high school. So for a while he had a job, he was able to afford a used car, move out on his own as long as he had roommates. And for a few years, that all worked out really well for him. By the way, this young man lives in Benzie County. So last year, he turned 25, and he started to think about his future. What did he want to do? What did he want to be, sort of when he grew up? And what did he really feel like he needed to be successful? And so he started to think about it, and he wanted a job that offered him maybe more personal satisfaction, a job that afforded him the opportunity to go out for dinner and a movie on occasion, and a job that provided enough so that he could give back a little to the community that had given so much to him. So he knew he had this knack for computers, and he did some looking into computer coding.
And life was really good at that point. He was eligible for this new cool program through the state of Michigan called Michigan Reconnect. It was the promise of a free community college tuition for anyone over the age of 25 who doesn't already have some sort of post-secondary educational attainment. This was his ticket, right? So Northwestern Michigan College in Traverse City had an information technology program that fit the bill for him. He would have to pay for books, he'd have to pay for some fees, but his tuition would be free. He enrolls, he meets with an advisor, he's on his way. A few weeks later, he comes home from work, sees a bill for the car insurance, knows that he has to pay rent to his roommate in the next few days, and boom, there's a bill from NMC for $1,668 for winter tuition. That's when he learns that Michigan Reconnect is only free for people who live in district at their community college. So as a Benzie County resident, he is responsible for the out-of-district tuition gap, is what I call it, an additional $139 per contact hour. So today, there are 177 students who live in Benzie County who attend NMC, some of them part-time, some of them full-time. Each semester is approximately 2,000, I realize these are a lot of numbers, but 2,124 credit hours. That amounts to Benzie County students, learners, I like to call them, because sometimes you all think students are just those people who are graduating from high school, and so I still think of myself as a student. So that ends up being are you ready for this? $295,000 in additional dollars paid by a Benzie County residents to go to NMC. So, geez, if only Benzie County were eligible for in-district tuition, right? That would be really good. So it can be, but so you guys were just talking about millages. Hate to say this, but one of the things we're looking at as Best Benzie County in coordination with the advocates for Benzie County and Northwestern Michigan College is this idea of in-district tuition for Benzie County residents. And I want to take a step back for just a second. 42% of your working age adults have some sort of a certificate or additional educational background. Only 42%. The goal in the state of Michigan is 60%. 60% of our residents have some sort of certificate, associate's degree, or bachelor's degree. So what we recognize is there are some barriers right here in Benzie County. Financial is the first. Is it really worth the money? Where do I get the money? Then there's the preparedness. Was I prepared? Am I prepared to go ahead and take some sort of a certificate program? And one of the other things I've learned in the last 3 years is it's also about our tribe. The people that we grew up with, our friends, our family, will they accept the fact that we're going to go on and get some sort of additional education? So here's the interesting thing. The county has about 110 graduates from high school every year. I bet you most of you don't know this. Those 110 graduates get almost $220,000 in local scholarship money when they're graduating. Those award nights are incredible in this high school. But you also have about 8,000, and I could be wrong about that, it may be more like 6,000 working age adults who don't have access to that sort of money to make that decision to be able to go forward in school. So the other thing that I think Kira may have mentioned to me was that people also sometimes think about, they hear about something called like the Michigan Achievement Scholarship. I want to remind everybody, something like the Michigan Achievement Scholarship, only available to high school seniors. So one of the big things about talking about this millage really is about recognizing what could happen in Benzie County if you actually offer students that opportunity for that free in-district tuition from NMC. So there's a lot of work that we feel like is ahead of us when it comes to after high school education. And this is just a small part of what Best Benzie County is doing. But where we are starting with the advocates and with NMC are what we're calling listening sessions. So we started with a small group of people and NMC came out, spent some time at the Mills House with some folks saying, is this something that you think is worth looking at? And the majority of the people in that room said yes. So over the course of the next 3 months, ABC, Advocates for Benzie County and Best Benzie County, in coordination with NMC, will be setting up these listening sessions. We know, let me just say this up front, we know that this is a heavy lift. It is a 2 mil request, and as many of the county commissioners have already said to me, their operational budget is 3 mils. Now, I have a lot to say about how you guys talk about millages in Benzie County. So it is a big lift. For somebody who has a house that is, I think, $200,000, we're talking about an additional $200 tax bill. So again, I want to say I understand the big lift, but what an investment in your community. So those gatherings are going to start sometime in mid-November. The plan is that by March or April, Northwestern Michigan College will make a decision, their board will make a decision about moving forward to have a millage. The millage would be, can't believe they're going to do this, November of 2024. So the same time that you guys are all talking about the Headley millages as well. So I'll be coming to that 5:30 thing to learn more about it. So what questions do you have for me?
Wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute, microphone, please.
Did you say there's an additional election late in November?
No, it would be part of the November 2024 election.
Oh,
So I
okay.
have a question.
Great, go ahead.
And the idea is to get Benzie County in district.
That's
We
correct.
have to vote on this and start
Yep.
a millage?
It would be a millage vote, yep.
And who gets the millage? The college?
Yes, it would go to the college, yep.
Okay.
Just like it does in Grand
In other
Traverse
words,
County.
we can buy being in district.
Yes, you can.
Okay, well, I would like to say that I think just driving to Traverse City is quite a challenge, and any young person who wants to drive all that way to go to college, we certainly ought to give them a boost. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question. I have a question, Jana.
Oh, go ahead.
I don't see how people can ask a question if they're on the Zoom.
Just.
We can hear you.
Marcia, we can hear you, so just go ahead.
Oh, I couldn't hear you. I didn't know you were talking to me. Sorry. Yes, I do have a question. I think it's pretty complicated. What does, I didn't understand your reference to what the state of Michigan offers now to people who want to continue their studies. There was a message from the governor's office this week about how much money is made available to citizens of Michigan who go to different types of training and colleges. So could you talk a little bit about that? If that doesn't apply to everybody, why not? And what's the limitation? Do you have to have one of these millages for a community college before you can even access this money? What's the story there?
So the interesting, that's a great question, and you're right. There's a lot of pieces and parts to that. The big program that is available in Michigan is something called Michigan Reconnect. And what Michigan Reconnect does is that it allows free community college tuition. It is now for anybody over the age of 21 who does not already have some sort of advanced degree or certificate. It allows them to go to a community college free of charge as long as that person is living in district. So one of the challenges is I grew up in southeastern Michigan, near the Detroit area. I was a stone's throw away from a community college. There were actually 5 campuses, I think, in Oakland County. Wayne County has several community colleges. Washtenaw has a community college. So he's speeding me up. So when you're living that close, this is just the disenfranchisement, I think, of our rural area, because there isn't a community college in Benzie County. The only way to get that free tuition is through a millage at the moment.
So what, I mean,
Marcia, this is Aubrey. I can give an example. Can I give you a hard example that might help?
Sure. Love
So I have a friend who graduated out here in Benzie County, right? Did a year at Kalamazoo College, dropped out of college, right? She's 43 now, something like that, 42, 43. She lives in Grand Traverse County now. She has been taking advantage of this Reconnect Michigan. She's been able to take free classes. She's going to NMC because she lives in Traverse City. I did not know that Benzie County not being in district didn't meant that we were not able to. So I was talking to another friend recently, same sort of story. Went to a year or 2 of college, lives in Benzie County, is 30-some, 40-some years old, wants to go back and do something. And I said, oh, well, do you know about this new program that the Dems just passed in Michigan, da-da-da-da-da? And she said, because I live in Benzie County, it doesn't apply because it won't work for me because I'm not in district. Does that help?
Yeah, thanks.
And let me just clarify that they still get the in-district tuition. It's that $139 extra a credit hour. Mike has a question.
Why can't they just expand the boundaries of the districts?
That is what annexation does. That is exactly what this millage does. It's called annexation, so the people who live in Grand Traverse County pay this to, great question.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Could I ask a question? And that is, how much does 2 mills mean countywide in Benzie County? That's the big question.
That is a good question.
And it is an excellent question. And I'm checking with Katie on this. We had come up with a figure of about $2 million, but I was talking to some county commissioners the other day and they said, oh, they thought it was more like 3 million. So I'm going to have to justify that. I also want to say now that somebody's asked me about the hard numbers, NMC has a plan. One of the reasons they're doing this listening session is to figure out how they bring services here to the county. So it would be like creating a community college in Michigan. So that $2 million would not just go for in-district tuition. They would probably also have a presence here. At least that's part of their plan, and it's why they want to do these listening sessions.
That was actually my question. For this millage to pass, I hope they have a specific plan and a commitment, because without a commitment, it will be a hard sell.
Yeah, okay.
I'm not being against this.
It's a huge.
Okay. There has to be a commitment.
It's an impossible sell. The trade-off is too incredible.
Ladies and gentlemen, we don't want to get into a back and forth on this right now. If you want to say more about this or learn more of the numbers and all that, please go to these meetings when they come up. We wanted you to be aware that this initiative is underway. We want you to participate if you're interested. We're not having a forum here. We're just letting you know that the forum is going to come. Okay? Great. So once more, Maggie Bacon from Best Benzie County, thank you very much.
When is it again?
Have you announced the meetings yet?
We have not announced them yet. We're still working on them, starting in mid-November. Advocates for Benzie County will be doing, I think we're going to do Facebook stuff. I think they're going to do something in the Patriot. And we will make sure that you all get information as well. Yep, absolutely.
You'll definitely hear about it through our emails. Thank you, Maggie.
I'm not voting for it. until I
The
get
other
more
thing is I think we are really going to work at coming to individual townships and village meetings as well.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you, Maggie. Okay, so we're going to move right along now to our other presentation. And this one, we really want to encourage your questions and get some kind of a discussion going here. It'll be open-ended from now going forward. We're going to bring Tim Maylone. He's a longtime Northern Michigan guy. He moved up here with his family, Royal Oak, went to school here and graduated from, would you believe it, Northwestern Michigan College. He used his strong business background, his dad was an entrepreneur, as well as technology to launch his own company with the intention of building a wireless internet service providing company. That's what he wanted to do. He acquired Cherry Capital Connections in 2010 and has always been its CEO. His personal objective, according to his resume, is to provide the highest level of telecommunication services to the unconnected and underserved rural areas of the northwestern lower peninsula of Michigan. Sound like a good idea? All right, well, Tim's going to tell us how his company came to Benzie, what it's been doing since it arrived, especially the critical role it's playing in monitoring Benzie's overall move towards broadband, and what the plan is for getting quality, affordable internet to all people in Benzie who want it. Tim really welcomes your questions, so do type them into the chat. And this is important. If you have lousy internet or no internet, well, you won't, maybe you're in the room then, and would like to know when real help is on the way, please provide via the chat, please provide Tim with your name, your phone number, and your address, and your question about when is my internet coming. And Cherry Capital will get back to you and give you their best information on that. So put that, if you don't got good internet and you want to know when it's going to get better, put your contact information in the chat, direct it towards Tim, and he will get back to you, okay? So with all of that, please do a share screen with Tim now. If you haven't, all right, great. Oh, okay, co-host, yeah, okay. Please welcome Tim Maylone of Cherry Capital Connect.
Thank you for having me. Let me get my screen sharing here. Okay, make sure I'm on the right screen. It's this one. Can everybody see Internet for All, Benzie County?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Got it.
So Internet for All Benzie County started as a public-private partnership between Benzie County and Cherry Capital Connection. And each step of the way, we continue to add agreements and processes to make sure that every household that is eligible will get fiber to the home. So although I started in wireless, fixed point wireless business, Cherry Capital Connection is now 100% focused on fiber to every home, no matter where you live. Whether you have a 1 mile driveway or a 300-foot driveway, it doesn't matter to us. And Benzie County itself should be really proud of where they're at. What we're doing is we presented a plan and we're doing the physical infrastructure, but Benzie County itself had multiple groups that were trying to work on this problem for a long time. And they, about a year ago, 2 years ago, they did a merit study. And the one thing that the merit study didn't do is it didn't have a plan of where to go, what's next. And that's what Cherry Capital Connection did. We offered a plan. And it was a plan modeled that we've done on other communities, Roscommon County. And it was really tailored after our fixed point wireless. So it's a proven business model. The county tasked the EDC to work with us. Multiple providers were involved in developing and reviewing the plan and refining it to Benzie County specific needs. The county contracted a consultant to represent the county because much of the discussion was highly technical. And it's been a pleasure working with Mitch. A lot of our meetings with Mitch are remote, but he's a very knowledgeable individual, and he is able to translate much of the technical stuff down to business, EDC advantages, and really the business of how the consumer benefits from having fiber. The MyHigh office, yep. The MyHigh office finally got funded. That's at the state level, ran by Eric, and his team has been doing a great job. Unlike other states, the state of Michigan has 7 full-time staff members on this, whereas like Ohio has 2, Indiana has 1. Michigan has made a real commitment to solving this problem statewide. And the result for Benzie County is going to be in 3 to 5 years, 95% of all the households should have and be connected to fiber. There's multiple companies involved here. Spectrum, which you all know, Centec is a incumbent in the southeast corner of Benzie. ACD does a lot of the 5G development. They're in Benzie County putting fiber in the ground. Peninsula Fiber is 911. They're putting fiber in the ground. Merit manages the program out of the Obama era called Reach 3MC. They're very active on that side. And there's a company called Mercury Broadband coming out of Kansas that is, we're hopefully going to meet with them in October here, maybe November, to find out what their specific timeline is for Benzie County. And then there's Cherry Capital Connection. So where the county started off by allocating 1.5 million to Cherry Capital to pass 1,875 homes. Our contribution on top of that is a little over $3 million. So Cherry Capital tends to match funds 3 to 1, 4 to 1. But that seed money really helps us get things started as we develop a plan to bring that money to Benzie County. We worked with the county on an application for Robin. That application was accepted. The original $5 million that the state was going to contribute has been reduced to $2.8 million due to challenges by Centec and by Charter or Spectrum, but we still have to pass about the same number of homes. So our obligation is raised from 3.75 million to almost 5 million. It's still a $10 million project to complete. But that's what partnering with Cherry Capital does. We take all the risk and we fill the gap. We're preparing for beads, which I'll get into what that is a little later. And then we're also working with Frankfurt, and Crystal Lake Township was very involved in helping us get there in order to improve the 911 and public safety by extending our infrastructure into Frankfurt for the 911 tower. And we continue to evaluate other sources as other opportunities come, like a deep water port. I'm sure would need fiber. I'm sure there's a lot of other ones out there. I think what's in front of you should be a map of Benzie County. Is that correct?
Yes.
Cool. Thanks, Jim. It's a little bit complicated in the sense that there are multiple players. So looking at the red lines, and I didn't shade it red everywhere, But wherever those red lines are and those dots are, that's where we're building. It's anywhere from 185 to 200 miles of fiber going in. Those little white dots happen to be the households that the state of Michigan approved as unserved and underserved. And this helps us identify priorities. We're going to go where the greatest number of unserved and underserved are first. At least that's what we're going to try to do. But that doesn't mean that somebody along the route can't get our service. So that's why, even though the state is only partially reimbursing us for 1,400 homes, we anticipate 4,100 to 47 homes will be affected by this. The green area is at Mercury Broadband out of Kansas. Somebody want to ask a question? I'm sorry. I can't see if.
No, keep going. It's okay.
Okay.
No problem.
Yeah, let me know, Jim, if somebody is. The green area is Mercury Broadband. Again, they have a small section. They're working in the southern area of Michigan right now. Last we heard, they're coming up here in October to meet with us to see what we can do to help them. Because our goal, even if we're not the ones doing it, we don't want any house left out of this fiber bill. And where we can help, we will. The yellow is a Centec. A Centec just won a challenge on our Robin application, and that whole yellow area has to be completed by March 14th of 2024. So we're going to watch that really close. That's an awful big build to get done that quickly. We hope they're successful, but we will watch the Centec closely to make sure. The black areas are Spectrum, and the purple line going through Benzie is the existing Reach 3MC network that we build off of. That's what allows us to get to Southfield or get to South Bend, Indiana, or get to Chicago. And then the small houses, like there's one here in Crystal Lake Township. I noticed Amy was on the call. They just approved being a fiber distribution center for Cherry Capital. And so, all that fiber will end up there. And our distribution centers are standby generators, full redundant environmentals. They're meant to, be fully functional in a large disaster for up to 21 days. Which is a federal requirement by 2026. So, I mean, that's exciting because 3 or 4 years ago, Benzie had no real plan. They had a problem, but no plan. And through multiple programs and a lot of private investment, Benzie County is really standing out in the state of Michigan as a model for other communities to follow. And we're really proud to be part of that. To the question of when you're going to get your fiber. We have 2 projects we're starting here in 2023. The one to Frankfurt. Oops, I put the same ones up twice. I'm sorry about that. This is Inland Township. I didn't notice that. Inland Township is probably a 6-month build, passes about 600 homes. The route on M15 between Benzonia and Frankfurt, we hope to start and have our state permit from MDOT issued so that we can start construction in November, and that should take about 3 months to complete. So realistically, getting all this fiber in the ground can be as short as 2 years, but based on obstacles, we're telling people that, give us 3 years before the whole thing is done, especially getting to the home. So wrap it when it comes to fiber. Another question that comes up quite often is pricing. This pricing model was encouraged by Robin. It works out to be about 25% less than the national aggregate that they do every year. And mass market our households. There is small business and large business programs, but this is what is if you see marketing done on a mass scale, that's what the feds call mass market pricing. And this price continues to go down and the speeds continue to go up. It's a trend that's happening within the industry itself. There is a $500 activation fee once you start, just like activating your cell phone. We are working at trying to eliminate that, but that's kind of a requirement in our business model that we presented to the state, that we do get some upfront money from the consumer. We are, as of 2024, we've been testing it. We will provide a router along with that, whereas in the past we had not. But that's been a request by many of our customers. They'd rather us provide the router and take care of it and help you with it. There is a program that we participate in as a telephone company called ACP. And so those who are eligible for ACP, which you just Google FCC ACP, and it'll bring you to a site basically designed around households that are at risk. But there's probably 3 pages of circumstances where people are eligible for ACP. And what the state has asked us to do is don't charge the ACP eligible household any more than $30. The feds will pay that to us, not the consumer. And so these at-home risk households, which are quite a few in Benzie County, end up paying what's called net zero. They don't pay anything for the internet, which, you know, we hope with the internet and with the right tools and some education, economic opportunities will open up for those households. Probably the number one thing you guys are really interested, at least Jim indicated you would be interested in, is digital equity and inclusion. We had put this in our Robin application. The county allocated a separate $200K for project management and digital equity and inclusion, controlled by and monitored by Mitch. It's not money sent to us. And digital equity and inclusion is a large component of BEADS, which is the next funding model coming up. We had encouraged the county that during Robin to put together a task force and make sure that we're prepared to participate in that effort. That's going to help the generation that's not comfortable with technology get comfortable. Maybe library programs that are set up. It may be in-home education. I don't know. That's up to Benzie County to decide. Benzie County has put together a stakeholder group. They met last Tuesday for the first time. It was at Grow Benzie, and Grow Benzie is very involved with Mitch on digital equity and inclusion. The EDC is involved, hospitals, education. There's a wide spectrum of stakeholders that have been attracted by this effort. And we have recommended to the community that no provider be involved. Digital equity and inclusion should be something that is community-led, and the provider should respond to those needs. It shouldn't be something that a provider tells you what's good for you and then expect you to adapt to that. Some of the things that will come out of that, I'm sure, will be telehealth. We're an aging population in Northern Michigan. There's a lot of people that have to drive 2 hours to a hospital. There's a lot of people that don't participate in what's it called, pre-care, preventive medicine. And we think that with fiber to the home, working with the hospitals, that a lot of programs can be set up to monitor or do testing from the home in order to save people from having to travel, whether it's monitoring heart monitors or diabetes or a lot of different things. You're going to see innovation occur with all this fiber out there to make our quality of life improve, just because you can stay connected anywhere with that fiber at your home. They will define economic development opportunities, education, how to save money. Instead of bundling everything with one provider, use the internet and get your phone service from somebody else, or get education at a lesser cost because it's done remotely. So there's a great deal that's going to come out of digital equity and inclusion. And Cherry Capital, since it's in a Robin application, will monitor it, so we can talk on it, but we will not participate directly unless we're asked to. One other item I was going to add, and I wasn't sure if I should or not, but a lot of people tend to lean towards municipal systems, and municipal systems end up costing a great deal more to the taxpayer than the current method of some government money working with the private sector. The problem is, when you work with a spectrum, it's a closed system, so it only benefits the spectrum. Our partners, such as PFN and ACD and Merit, they're all called open access networks. So Spectrum won't sell to me as a carrier fiber. So we made a commitment to Benzie County to work out how to make this blend of private and municipal money end up in a open access type of environment. PFN just is in the process, by the end of the month, signing a contract for fiber, strands of fiber throughout Benzie County, so that they can service potential customers sooner without having to rebuild that fiber plant. And that's what open access does for the community. It is part of our goals, and it is something that we'll work out over the next year or two as we try to figure out the model on it, where it's not 100% funded by government. So that is really the end of my presentation. I wanted to try to keep it to 15 minutes. Is there any questions people have? I will answer any question you got.
Yes. Okay, we do have questions. And could you close your screen, please, there?
Yep.
Thank you. And if you're not talking, please mute your microphone, okay? We're having some problems with that. We have a question here from Chris Kitzman in the room here.
Hi, Tim. A lot of good information there. I have two questions. One is, how can we help minimize that $500 activation fee? Because there are so many people, as I'm sure you're well aware, for whom that would be a huge barrier. And the second question is, how can we avoid the kind of thing that's, we have this great low introductory offer of a rate and pricing, but that changes after a certain period of time. And I think we've all seen that happen. So can you address those two issues, please?
Sure. Let me do the first one. In our 22-year history, our prices have not gone up. They stay stable, and you get more for what you're paying. So the larger providers, national providers, do play that introductory offer. But our history as a company, as an example, when we moved from fixed point wireless, people were paying $88 for 10 meg. Under fiber, as we converted our customer base, that $88 stayed in place, but they got 100 meg. And as you see the pricing in Robin that I showed you, $88 now pays for 250 meg. So that is the trend, and that's the history of Cherry Capital. We negotiate with our providers at reduced pricing, and we that allows us to keep that flat. And it will go down once capital has been recovered, because there's a certain amount of money that's built into that pays for capital. As for the $500 in Roscommon County, we went after a USDA grant for $1 million. That would eliminate that in Roscommon County. So we'll do the same thing in Benzie, but we are very sympathetic to people's personal situations, and if there is a need, we're pretty open to waiving it where there is. We take care of that with the CFO, where each case. But it would make our job much easier if we could get that down to zero. It's just we have a business model that we have to sustain. And I guess the other thing, what helps is the more people that sign up, and we have a reoccurring revenue instead of at 60%, but at 80%, then that $500 activation fee can be eliminated. So that's based on our current projections, and the more people use our service, the more we can recover that capital just through a normal subscription, and not have to have an activation fee.
Great, thank you for that. Another question in the room here from Jim Olson?
Yes, thank you. This is really a cluster of questions. I'll try to keep it simple. It has to do with spectrum and the difference between an open system and a closed system. And the cluster of questions involves the closed system pricing, whether or not that closed system like spectrum has any obligations to the county or municipality. And third, whether people that are stuck in the spectrum area of the county have any options, given the expense and the commitment of the county, that would be providers that compete with spectrum.
Good question.
Yes, good question. Unfortunately, in all the current programs, there wasn't any requirement, unlike back at the Obama administration, but the current administration, as they did these programs, did not include open access attached to that funding, which may have prevented Spectrum from actually participating. I don't know. That's something we are working with my high office. We think that's important. There was one other last mile provider called 123net, and their Robin application specified open access. So providers are actually pushing for this so that we don't have to overbuild the spectrum, or we don't have to overbuild fiber that's already in the ground. That's very expensive to do. But I can say that once we're done meeting the obligations of the state or the feds in these programs, and there's a clear delineation between where we spend the money, we're more than happy to overbuild a spectrum or an Ascentec or any closed system if there's the demand to the consumer. And a lot of times there is. When Spectrum's price is higher than our price, there's an incentive for people to say, okay, I'll get my 20 neighbors together and we'll build to there. So that because of all the restrictions and the way the programs are today, we got to stay within our defined territories with the money. But there's no limitation on private money after the fact.
Okay. Another question here from Colin.
Hello. I'm looking at the map and all the large black areas, which appear to be where Spectrum has the closed system. I would like to
and the Ascentec.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
And to Centec. So Centec and Spectrum are both closed.
Okay, so if you previously had wireless through consumers, and then they bring Spectrum down your street, that's two separate wireless systems on one street, right?
Yeah. So in your example,
Indian Hill Road.
yeah, no, Spectrum would be fiber, not wireless. If you have a fixed point wireless provider on your road, there's absolutely nothing that prevents you from using that service. It'll be, generally speaking, less capable and more money per month. But there's nothing that prevents a private company doing fixed point wireless in those Spectrum areas. Your example with Consumers Energy, they don't do fiber, but if there was another fiber plant there, then again, Spectrum probably wouldn't have built their plant. So, but somebody can, and you can go there. You're not required to use Spectrum if there's somebody else.
Okay, I had a Spectrum salesman come to my house and say that his system was 100% better, or 100 times better than what I had from Consumers. Is that accurate?
Every salesman will tell you they're the best. I will tell you that we built a lot of fiber in order to get all of our customers off a Spectrum backbone, because in the early days we could buy from them. Everybody has their challenges, and I'm not here to badmouth Spectrum, but their network is it's better than probably what you had. I don't know that Consumers Energy does the internet, so I don't know. I've never heard of them giving internet service to a house, Consumers Energy, so I can't compare it to that. But there are others that Spectrum might be better, but is it good enough, or is it where it should be? I would say no. I've looked at their construction. I've had their services in the past, and it didn't meet our needs as an ISP.
Okay, well, my only issue with the Consumers is it's hard to get a hold of anybody if you have a problem. Other than that, I think my service is very good. Thank you very much.
Cool. You bet.
Do you have any questions from Zoom?
We've got one from Ingemar. Ingemar wants to know, it says, it appears as if 13062 Goose Road is on the link for CCC. Is he correct?
What's the address again? I'm sorry.
13062 Goose Road, and on the link for CCC.
Okay. I don't have that right up in front of me, but I will get back with him on that. I didn't load my database. We're in the process of moving it to our website so people can inquiry. But my developers had a little bit of a problem, and they need.
So Tim, can you save this chat? I think you know how to do that, because then you've got the specific addresses and names and addresses of people who, and then we can take some other questions.
Yep.
Okay, great. Thank you, Tim.
Do you have any chat questions?
No.
Are there more chat questions?
No.
Okay, we've got a question here.
Yes, sir. Just a few questions here. I've been trying to stay abreast with this through the newspapers and reading the minutes from meetings, and I'm a little confused here, I guess. First off is, in one of the newspaper articles, the Benzie County had given, I think it was either 50 or 60,000 to Eclipse Communications already. And that's, I haven't seen that identified anywhere. That would be question one. Question two is, there's Charter, Capital, Eclipse, several others involved in this. Who actually is, you said you have a plan. has Benzie County outsourced and given you authority for implementing this plan? Who has that authority and who's managing this entire program?
So the public-private partnership with Benzie County is only Cherry Capital Connection and the county. The Robin application and Internet for All, Benzie County, which was the 1.5 million in ARPA funds, both of those are Cherry Capital Connection. We're the ones taking on all the liability, all the risk, and contributing the 4 to 5 million in capital required to get the project completed. The other providers that are in Benzie County, like 186 Network, Eclipse, PFN, ACD, they are under the open access model, will have access to the fiber. We won't refuse to sell, a competitor or another ISP. Matter of fact, we'll even try to promote them in other service areas like their VoIP or their managed services, and make sure people are aware of all that's available in Benzie County. As for the 50 to 60K, the county didn't give Eclipse, I don't believe, and what I've read, they didn't give Eclipse 50 to 60K. They signed a document that allowed a funding agent in Traverse City, I can't remember their name now, to allocate a grant to Eclipse, but it had to be done through the county. So the county was just the vehicle for the money to go from this economic development company in Traverse City and get that money to Eclipse. I didn't read what they did for it or what their obligation was on it. But I'm confident, I've talked with Chris over at Eclipse multiple times, and I'm sure he met, all the things that was supposed to be done with that money. And I haven't seen anything in public meetings or documentation that would indicate otherwise.
Okay, I read in the paper that Kathy Zeitz had, in May, had applied for 5 million in the Robin program.
I didn't hear that. Could you say it again?
Kathy Zeitz in May of 23.
Stuart.
You have to hold it closer to your mouth.
Okay, and Kathy Zeitz, May of 23, applied for the 5 million for the Robin program. And in your website, you stated it was 5.5, which is a $500,000 difference. So are you managing that 5? Have they received it?
So,
and are you managing those dollars?
So the county did not apply for Robin. Robin was only eligible to a provider. Cherry Capital applied for that, and the money will be distributed. We just signed the contract yesterday with the state. Would distribute it directly to based on a very stringent requirement. I got to spend all the money and then get reimbursed on a quarterly basis. So every quarter I'll put out, 6 or 7, but 100,000 a quarter, and then get reimbursed from the state. But it was a $5.1 million original commitment from the state. I apologize if I misspoke. And the state has reduced that to 2.8 million due to challenges by Spectrum and Ascentic. So we only got 2.8 million from the state, but we're still obligated to build the whole project.
And you're going to be managing the charters and the Eclipses and all these other organizations?
No, they're private companies. They can do whatever they want. So
without a total plan on this, is that what you presented today, was that plan for integrating all of these varying individual organizations and the implementation of the broadband?
No, I was just showing you what Benzie County is doing, but what Spectrum is doing is on Spectrum's dime and on their schedule. Mercury Broadband is what they're doing. I just wanted you to know that Benzie County as a whole has a lot of private sector money and activity going on in Benzie County. The area that was red on that map is what Cherry Capital Connection is responsible for and taking care of. And then we help guide the county working with Mitch because, you know, Spectrum will call us back. Mercury Broadband will call us back because we're all, you know, telephone companies. So I can get some inside information and share that with the county as they requested.
Okay,
Yeah,
who's paying
we
Mitch?
also, wait, we also have somebody, Jackie Borazin, who's coordinating the broadband task force with Grow Benzie, and she's happy to answer more questions from people. And her email is jackie@growbenzie.org. So again, we do have a local contact who can answer some more specific questions, specifically on how it deals with Benzie. So thanks, Jackie,
Okay.
for doing
On
that.
this consultant, I read someplace that he wanted $200,000. Is that what he's being paid? Who's he reporting to as part of this entire plan? Who is he reporting to?
So
These are
Mitch,
questions for the EDC, I'll be
yes,
honest.
yeah.
This is Jackie. These are questions for the EDC because the EDC has been the body that has been working with individuals. There were requests for different funds, but the EDC didn't necessarily pay all those funds, but I can't really speak to that because this is an EDC thing. And Tim is just working with the county and closely with the EDC, but Tim is not the one who's making these decisions on behalf of the county. And neither is Grow Benzie, frankly.
Okay, I have one more question off subject matter, and I probably will be contacting you in the future for information now that I have that. But the Benzie County has authorized $350,000 for this emergency tower for 911. And then
Yes.
there's a $1.9 to $2.2 million lease program. With all of this technology being brought into Benzie County, I'm very ignorant in this area, but it seems to me, isn't there something that instead of an emergency tower, isn't that kind of old technology? If you're doing communications throughout this entire county, is that the only way to go?
Stuart, we're getting way off topic here.
But
We're gonna talk
Central
about
Bill,
installing his cable stuff. So
Yeah.
I think we're gonna wrap up the questions right now with one from Aubrey.
Hi, thanks, Tim. Mine is a little bit more of a comment than a question and a thank you also. So I'm on the school board at Frankfurt and Frankfurt, Alberta area schools. And during the pandemic, we were ahead of the game in that we already had one-on-one devices for all of the students, and a lot of other schools didn't. So they at least had a device at home, but not all of them had internet connections at home.
Right.
And so since then, we've been paying $30,000 every year, which out of a $7 million budget is a drop in the bucket. However, you know, and we still did last year, right? For kids who don't have internet access at home. And even though they're not going to school at home, they still need access to internet at home to be able to do their homework, all those things. So the point is, I just want to say thank you for that, because, you know, that $30,000 is about half of a social worker or a school counselor budget, you know, or a new teacher. So I want to say thank you for that, because those kind of funds being available now, once we get this internet connection, will really help.
cool.
Great, thank you. Tim, I want to thank you. If you have any other closing comments or goodbyes you want to say to us, or what you'd like us to do to help you or help get internet better, tell us that right now, and then we're going to close up the meeting.
Yeah, I mean, I would encourage, as I told Jim, I will respond to people's emails. I like it when it's consolidated and I can have, you know, one email to send out to multiple people. But where we're involved with something, we'll be more than willing, we're more than willing to share it. We go, the EDC meetings we attend every month. There's a lot of information that comes out. They have a public forum to ask questions there. So I really encourage you to be engaged. And then if you're in our area, keep on going to the cccfiber.com website. And when the new one gets up, you'll be able to put your address in. But I encourage you to let us know where you're at, what your email is, what your phone number is, so that we can keep you informed on the progress we're making. The most difficult piece, I know everybody's address. I know where all the parcels are. I can identify all the homes, but I don't know who you are. And it's, you know, and knowing who you are allows us to engage with you. And it's not spam. It's not a heavy sales thing. It's more of an information to you as we're developing. And so I ask you to go there, and we'll be respectful, of your privacy when we're doing that. But no, thank you very much for the opportunity. This was the first formal public outreach we've done on the program, other than the official through the EDC and county. And I look forward to your reaction from it. How we could trim it or address your other concerns more directly. So thank you very much for the opportunity, Jim, and the Democratic Party.
Thank you, Tim. And Tim, if you haven't already, please put your contact information in the chat so people can reach out to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Are there any other business points not to do with internet or the stuff we have been talking about that people want to bring up?
I just want to comment too that for people who are here especially, this is a recorded meeting, so if you want to go back and see this and look at the maps and stuff, you can do that on YouTube.
Yes.
And also on our website.
Yes, great. Thank you. Okay, well, with that, I'll just say thank you all for spending your Saturday morning with us. There's lots more coffee. There's lots more food. Hang around, have a snack, hang out with us. We're friendly people. And have a good rest of your Saturday. Dave has some stuff to pass out. Thank you.
For Christ's sakes.
And I'd love for you, I've sent the doors, you can get one of the brochures on it. It's been going on. To see a rural community like we have, put this display on is phenomenal. And I hope that you can get up there and take a chance to see it. We'll be operating, just started this last weekend, October 14th through November 25th. The theme is innovation. And it's incredible to see who has presented. There are displays up there along with the Smithsonian display. They sent 8 display towers that are on display. But we have had so much buy-in from everything from Grow Benzie to the gathering place to the meat.
Can't hear you, so.
Yeah, Archangel, the tree seed programs. It's just an incredible buy-in from so much of the county. So I would like you to really please take a look at the brochure, so I don't have to ramble on with this, but I think
They can't hear him well, he's not using the
get to the
mic.
top floor of the mills and see this display and try to be engaged, proud of the innovation that has taken place in Benzie County at all levels. So thanks for the chance of putting this 2 cents worth in. Okay.
All right, and with that.
Okay. Hey, Bill or Tom, you guys still there? Well, I'm muted now.
I think maybe Jana muted at the office.
Yeah, I think so. They shut us out. And we still don't have Tim's address and phone number or email address. I was hoping to get that before I shut the meeting down here. But nobody's paying any attention.
So much of what he said, Mark, it kind of goes over my head. I guess I'm so illiterate when it comes to technology. I just don't quite understand what he was saying.
Well, we have really crappy internet out where I live, Steve. I'm way out in the country, and we only have one option. It's CenturyLink. And so what he's saying is they're going to be laying fiber optic cabling, which is the same cabling the Spectrum is using, all throughout the county. And anyway, so that's going to give us all better access.
Yeah, I mean, the simples for me, I mean, here up until May, we had Dish for TV, we had HughesNet for internet, and we had AT&T for our landline. Well, I changed all that, and we were paying over $300 a month for all that for those three.
Yeah.
So I changed that to Spectrum, and even consented to go with the phone too, leaving AT&T, and right now, and we're eligible for the ACP. So our normal bill with Spectrum right now for all three services would be $179, but we pay $149. We pay about $150 a month. The only trouble with that is that all these promotional things, they'll all be over with in a year, and we kind of feel that, yeah, we'll be right back up to 300 or more a month, probably, for the services.
That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. To have
yeah, yeah, and that's why I was trying to find out, if Spectrum has any responsibility, through Benzie County government, through the commissioners, to Benzie County residents as compared to what CCC has to go